talked a great deal yesterday about how Arizona looked against Indiana and what that really means going forward. We're going to rehash that game and talk a little bit about today's game as well. You're listening to Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats. Again, I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, lots to get to this show. First, we are going to talk about Arizona and Indiana and what that win really means for Arizona. Now, this is going to be a win, and again, you can knock on wood here because a lot of times this stuff changes, but this is going to be a win that I think is going to be difficult for people to really take away from Arizona because first and foremost, it is a Big Ten school now. We love the Big Ten on this show, and we will continue to make fun of the Big Ten because it is massively overrated. And we've talked about that from day one. When these teams get into the NCAA tournament, they generally end up getting blasted out in the first round or second round, and everybody acts like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? It's because they're not good. That's how it happened. All right, now, but Indiana is a team that the media is going to like to enjoy, or is going to try to push out there as much as they as a team that they're going to try to push out there as much as they can. We all know that. But and they feel probably like a top 15 to 20 team, but it's going to still be a good win, I think, for Arizona to be able to maintain where they're at this point. Now, the things that you really liked about that game, though, or at least that I really liked, were the ability that Arizona showed to really, how do I put this, to all the players, all of their roles were basically put out there, and you could see that everybody kind of fit in. We've talked about the big men ad nauseum. We're going to continue to talk about them because of what they've done. It's the best front court in the entire country, and quite frankly, I don't even think that it's close. What's also interesting about them is that Pelle Larsson, who has struggled mightily this year for a good percentage of games, has looked very good in that. He just needs to, I think, now get to where he can just play basketball and just play it at a normal level. And what I mean by that is don't try to do things that you can't do. Pelle is a very good player. Pelle is also limited in certain regards. Pelle is not a good ball handler. He's a set shot shooter. He's just not, as we put it, he's just not a next level type guy. And you know what? That is okay. But when you can play to your strengths, that is something that generally will really, really help you in the grand scheme of things. And Pelle played to his strengths against Indiana. And not only did he play to his strengths against Indiana, he was a difference maker. He was, he didn't do things again that he couldn't do. And when he was playing the way that he was supposed to, it just looked good out there. And I think that Arizona at this point has to be very, very excited with what they saw from an individual perspective. You also saw the same thing from Kirk Christi. Kirk Christi is a player that all we wanted before the season was for him to be able to handle the ball, and not only handle the ball, but be able to just make the open shot. He's done that. Not only is he making the open shot, he is making the open shot and he's getting into the lane. He's causing problems. Again, 7.5 assists per game. I mean, that is a big time, that's big time right there. You've got since Arizona's been, from their inception, the only guys that I can think of off the top of my head that have had +7 assist seasons are Damon Stoudemire and Reggie Geary. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good little track record right there. I don't think that anybody's going to say that those guys, that those guys weren't good. Now, and then we talked about Courtney Ramey. Courtney Ramey to me is he's there. He'll be ready when you need him. And they didn't need him in this game. They didn't need him to go out there and score 35 points. They didn't need him to score 30. They just needed him to be steady, and he was the epitome of steady. That's what you wanted. And then you were able to see the backcourt. You were able to see some pretty impressive stuff. Not going to lie. I was pretty impressed by what I saw from Adama Ball coming off the bench. We've talked about that. Also was pretty impressed by what I saw from Henry Vasar. It's going to take Big Henry some time. Again, I think we all know that. But he also is, you can see that he's got a lot. You can see that he's got a lot of potential to him. And we're going to, I think with Arizona, you could see that by next year, Henry Vasar is going to be a problem. He's not a one and done, but he's going to be a problem. And I'm not really breaking any news right there. I think that's more than fair to say. Okay. Now, when it comes to Arizona, we're kind of at the point now where you look at the rest of the schedule. And now you got a game tonight, a game that Arizona should be able to absolutely, a team that Arizona should absolutely be able to wipe the floor with. And again, these games right now, when you're playing Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Arizona's got better players across the board. Arizona should be able to win that game. And not only should they be able to win that game, they should be able to win that game fairly easily. As I don't think that anybody is in the least bit surprised by it. So again, but all you're looking for in that game is continue your roles, but not only continue your roles. There's some other things that are in play right there. You also get to the point where the bench gets to play, because again, Adama Ball is going to have to play. And, Adama Ball, Henry Vasar, they're going to play, as is Cedric Henderson. Cedric Henderson's a gimme at this point. We know what Cedric Henderson can do, but those are the guys that are going to have to play, and they're going to have to play right now. Okay. Now, when it comes to what you're looking for, this is the kind of game where you'd like to be able to see Kylan Boswell get some minutes. Now, I don't know exactly what Arizona plans on doing when it comes to the red shirt situations of certain players, but Kylan Boswell, you'd like to be able to see him get a little bit more burn right there. We'll find out exactly where he's at, but you would like to be able to get him some play. Again, I'm not sure how good he is right now, but it doesn't hurt at all to put him out there. Okay. Now, let me tell you about Omaha Steaks. All right. So hold on, let's find it. Omaha Steaks. Everybody has had Omaha Steaks before, and they are good. Here's the deal. You go to promo code Locked On, Omaha Steaks since 1917. You can $30 off at omahasteaks.com. Again, promo code Locked On. You got to put in the promo code Locked On. But we always talk about this. When you've got things like Omaha Steaks out there that have been around forever and are delicious, it's that people love Omaha Steaks. That's what's they like it because it tastes good and it's been around. It's tried and true. Check it out. Omaha Steaks. The biggest sponsors are coming to Locked On, and Omaha Steaks fits right into where Locked On is at this moment. So check it out. We're going to take a quick break and we will be right back with you. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we were just talking about Omaha Steaks. Now let's talk a little bit more about some Arizona basketball. you look around the rest of this conference right now, and Arizona's clearly the best team in the conference. Arizona's clearly the best team. They've got the most talent. They're the best coached, and the pieces fit together in a way that some of these other programs just don't really have right now. Now, unfortunately, I will say that ASU doesn't stink right now. I'm not exactly thrilled by that, but it kind of is what it is at this point. But ASU doesn't suck. I wish they did, but they don't. Oregon, kind of a whatever's going on there. That's a baffling situation right there with that team. Some really, really bad losses, but that generally happens with Altman's team. We'll see what happens with tournament play right around the corner. Now, UCLA, that certainly seems to be the second best team, but watching them right now, you don't get the sense that they have the you don't get the sense that they have the ability to be able to withstand Arizona. And I guess what I mean by that is I just don't think they're big enough. I do like them. I think that they can beat Arizona, but at the same time, I think that it's going to be it's going to be a struggle for them. They need more things to go right for them than Arizona needs right to go for them, if that makes any sense. And when you're a taller team, you get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there. I mean, that's just the way it is. And that's why basketball is a tall person's game, and it generally always will be. Now, not saying that they can't win, certainly not saying that. But I also think, though, that there's going to be a little bit of I think there's going to be a little bit of a lull when they play Arizona, mainly because Arizona is just so much bigger. You can go into practice, you can go into all of that, and do the broom, do the ladder, and all of that stuff. That still doesn't really recreate, though, what it's like, though, to have a team out there. So again, we'll check that out. All right, now let's take a quick little break, but first, I want to tell you about Built Bar. All right, Built Bar is where it's at, to put it mildly. You look at the biggest, strongest teams out there, and you're probably thinking to yourself, they must consume some Built Bar, and they do. Built Bar is based out of Utah. You can look no further than the Utah basketball team and say that that's probably a squad right there that is going to, that it has a lot of Built Bar in it. Built Bar is great. It's very good. Check it out. And how many times have you gone to a game or gone to a workout and you're like, just not really. I'm hungry, but I don't really want to do the chalky protein. Built Bar is here to alleviate all of your concerns on that front. So again, check it out. Built Bar. We'll be right back with you. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right, so here's what we want. We want to be back here tomorrow talking about Arizona blowing out Texas Corpus Christi. They should be, and if Arizona doesn't, then we're probably talking about there's probably some deeper issues at play, but I expect Arizona to be able to handle this team and to be able to handle them fairly easily. Now, again, we're looking for continue to get a little bit more bench depth out there, because you got to remember, Arizona looks like they're probably going about eight guys right now. You want to see them maybe get into that a little bit into that. If you can get 8 solid, cool. You'd also like to get Boswell some minutes in there. These are the kind of games you get that. These are also the kind of games where you can start working on players' roles, where they're at, and how they, and about where they at and where they can really look at things going forward. Now, tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit Arizona football as well, because there is some there is some news out there as far as some players that Arizona's looking at. We'll certainly keep you in the loop on that. But again, as always, it's a great time to be an Arizona basketball fan right now, an Arizona athletics fan, because football is on a very high trajectory right there. Basketball looks fantastic. Adia Barnes' squad had a tough loss, but they're still a top 20 team. They'll be there at the end. But as always, really appreciate all of you, and we will be back with you tomorrow. But as always, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will be back with you tomorrow talking a little bit more.